But the one that I just saw come across the chat is about the issue or challenge of incumbent power and what you do with that, either from a positive perspective or, as more of an obstacle in affecting change.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So it's we all remember how Hitler came to power through elections, and not through actually direct vote, right? Kind of not through. It was through elections and coalition building. So we see democracy in danger today, and on the defense because our country here is the best example. From within, not from outside, and that in a way. So the enemy is within. So the enemy is like. So we are armed to the teeth as a country, right? Against all these external threats and forces with a massive military. But where does the real threat come from? It's coming from within. I think that's you remember kind of the presencing move kind of from bending. So what is it? I think leadership today, you can reframe. So in this century, the most scarce resource is attention, right? So what do we do as leaders? We are shaping fields of attention. So what you really do as a leader, kind of you shape the fields of collective attention, one way or another. And when we do that as a leader, it's not only what we focus on, but it's also kind of bending the beam of collective attention back onto yourself, right? So it's kind of this, remember kind of the telescope moving out and then kind of the telescope bending and pointing back on the observer. That's the shift in consciousness. And what it means as a leader and in any kind of system today or as a systems thinker is creating infrastructures that help us to see ourselves in the mirror, right? And the mirror of reality. And seeing ourselves kind of in the mirror of reality is bending the beam of observation back onto ourselves. So that's I think kind of this incumbent power is really is calling for distributed leadership, for resilience, is calling from a bottom up. Yes, that's our story. That's the last 1,000 years of history in the West. What's the headline? Bottom up. That's who we are. And so in that way, kind of the Trump challenge is a wake-up call that we need to reconnect with this source. So it's not the end of this journey. It's just kind of a wake-up call to reconnect with that. And you can, America today when you look at the public conversation and what's happening kind of maybe, or what happened until last week or something, top down is a little bit depressing and all these things, but it's also bringing a movement from the bottom up that starts in cities, in companies, in towns, and on a state level. And it's kind of re-energizing kind of this, because that kind of problem will not be solved by any single person. It's something we need to do together, and it's something that in most cases starts locally and not on the national or global level. So it's a microcosm of where we are at, and it's a movement that's already in many places, but mostly local and mostly not aggregating to a national or international level. And that's why this infrastructure societal transformation lab, or that's also where I think kind of education, the educational sector and the university of the 21st century can hopefully play a helpful role. Somebody has to play that role. There's no other institution in society better positioned to do that. But of course, are we living up to that? Very little, right? Do we have the capability? Absolutely. But it will require a new form of alliances. And that's where we all need to just keep trying. And that's basically the intention of the Societal Transformation Lab.